So we have a string of discussions coming up. Topical among them will be the subject of when you have to start educating your young children about sex. So we have great sex education coming up, and we'll have some experiences being shared by our discussants this morning. But let's get on to the mainstream issues occupying the various topical platforms that you're on WhatsApp and other social media platforms, and for which you can always get interactive with us on Facebook. Join us on TV. We're always live there, though, and you can always watch us live through our channel on YouTube, My Joy Online TV. I have Reverend John Intim Fojo. He's a member of Parliament for Asin South. Good morning to you. He's a member of the Foreign Affairs Committee. How many committees do you belong to?
Two.
The other is?
I'm the Vice Chair for Committee on Members Holding Offices of Profit.
Sir?
Yeah.
Good for you.
Thank
and
you.
Then also a member of the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee is Roxanne Nelson Dapamako, Member of Parliament for South Dying. I'll be going into his constituency this weekend. I hope that I'll get to see some good sightseeing. But he's here. Good morning to you. He's ready for the court, you can see.
Good morning, my brother.
All right. And
good morning to you.
There's something I want us to look at quickly. Just the majority leader had been saying the RTI bill has not been approved by cabinet, and so it's not even laid in Parliament. Is that true? Let me start with you, Roxanne.
Well, I think I can speak for him. We are not in the executive. We are in Parliament. We only get the opportunity to consider things that the executive bring to us. If the leader of government business, he is not simply the majority leader, but he's also leader of government's business.
Okay.
And so if he's saying that the RTI bill is yet to be considered by cabinet and approved, then well, I'll take his word for it. But I want to urge that there is agitation out there that this be quickly brought to us for our consideration. So we are going to go on research today and to be back early May. We hope that government, the executive, will have enough time to look at it at cabinet level, approve of same, and bring it to us for our consideration and passing same into law. And that will be my preliminary remarks.
And Reverend Fojo, how important would this bill be? Do you think that ultimately before this Parliament is over, that will be the dawn of the next government, so to speak, and the next Parliament? Do you think that we'll see a law, an RTI law?
Good morning, Roland, once again, and thank you for the opportunity to be here. Of course, good morning to my good friend and honorable member, Honorable Roxanne Nelson Dafiamepo. I must signal a good morning to our esteemed viewers and the good people of Asin South, particularly my constituency chairman, Mr. Kunadu Taylor, who will be holding some Thanksgiving service to thank God for his victory later this evening. So my greetings to all. In respect of the RTI bill, which is a very important bill that the President Akufo-Addo-led government is so committed to ensure its passage, which has been on the table for 18 years. Let me quickly pass some quick correction. One, the bill has been approved by cabinet, contrary to the claim, the submission that has been made by your good self and my good friend. The bill has been approved by...
Don't worry. Let him make his point.
Yeah,
it's the majority. We have the majority leader's inset, so we'll play it.
Yeah, and then the understanding, my understanding is that the approval, subsequent to the approval, will be laid before Parliament for consideration. Of course, any bill that is received by Parliament goes through processes. We are rising today, and when we're expecting that the bill will be laid before Parliament, and within the period that we have, we will not be able to go through it and do consultations. So very likely that if it is received, indeed if it is received today, it will be referred to the appropriate committee, and I'm reliably informed that contrary to certain suspicions that it may come under certificate of urgency, the majority leader has clearly indicated that no, it will not come under certificate of urgency, and that it will be presented in a manner that adequate time will be given for consideration. And we're expecting that when we reconvene sometime mid-May, for the next meeting, we would have ample time to go through proper engagement considerations, debates, and be able to have broad-based consultations to ensure that by the end of the next meeting, which should be sometime July, the bill would have received very important attention and subsequently passed. And that is where I commend this government. You see, the issue of transparency and accountability,
You see,
the issue of transparency and accountability is very important.
The question you asked was...
No, I'm sure you would have your turn to respond, and I'm sure we have ample time for you to...
been approved by cabinet? He says yes. We approve of the business statement for this week, a week today. There's no indication. I saw the provisional order for today, yesterday. There's no indication. The majority leader is reported to have said the cabinet is here to approve of the bill. And my brother is saying that, contrary to that, bill, there's indications
we have the majority leader.
So
let's just play an insert of the majority leader, and then we'll come back, we'll wrap up on this, then we'll move on.
I can assure you that it will service in Parliament. As Cabinet looked at it, the subcommittee looked at it and approved of it. They sent it to Cabinet. The Cabinet is meeting today on that. So after its approval and it's sent for gazetting, assuming it's sent for gazetting tomorrow, we have to wait for the stipulated time to mature before it comes to Parliament, right? Which is why, if we have to wait for that time, Parliament would have recessed. So, in this state, the state that it is in now, it will be introduced in Parliament. But then, as you do know, this is not a bill that can be considered under a certificate of urgency and be completed in one day.
So if Cabinet had given approval for it already, then why will Cabinet be looking at it again today when they hold?
I said it's Cabinet subcommittee. The subcommittee has looked at it, and Cabinet is meeting.
Well, we as much as possible, let us be factual. The man is saying cabinet
not the entire committee, not the entire cabinet.
The cabinet also works like Parliament.
As very subcommittee.
Yes. So when the subcommittee considers it, it is now tabled before cabinet proper for approval. And he made the point that when that is done, it has to be gazetted.
And gazetting takes?
It takes 14 days or 21, depending on the nature of the bill, to mature before you can lay it. 21 days.
So not today.
When was this interview granted?
Yesterday.
Yes.
Thursday.
Yes. So how and he said cabinet was meeting yesterday.
Yeah, Roland.
So you're saying we're wasting our time doing the discussion of
yes, it's not
Roland,
been done. My brother shouldn't make those submissions.
But we have to put his submission in context.
There's no contention on this subject. We had the majority minister.
But you said cabinet had approved.
No, we had.
He intimated that the bill is likely
it
to
is
be
important
today,
that we are given the opportunity. I'm not here to heckle. If I'm given the opportunity,
but
I'll
deal
submit.
with the matter.
Yeah, Roland, the majority leader has submitted. We just listened in, and he stated clearly that cabinet had approved and subsequently given the bill to a subcommittee. Of
it cannot happen.
No, to a subcommittee. That is what we just had.
No, but he said cabinet doesn't approve before it goes to a subcommittee.
Subsequent to that, I'm making reference.
Subcommittee before it comes to cabinet.
I am not pleased with the manner in which, because
you are twisting the fact.
I could do heckling, but I'm not sure that I come here to submit to the public and then to engage in heckling. I could heckle more, but let us have some
decorum.
Yeah,
no, if you say decorum, I take offense.
Let us maintain some respect for each other.
I do respect you, Reverend. But
so
you are twisting the
what
facts.
is so difficult about being patient to listen to my submission? You can have your dissenting view, So the point here is that we've just listened to the majority leader, and he has stated cabinet has approved it. That is a fact that has been stated, and then a subcommittee is looking at it, and then subsequent to that, the procedure that has to go through is gazetting. Gazetting takes time, but in its shape and form, it will be presented to Parliament. That is what majority leader stated. We all heard it. So there is no contention about it. And one is not contesting that the gazetted form of the bill is what will be laid before Parliament. Well, that is not possible. But that takes minimum 14 days. to be done. But in its current shape and form, it will be presented to Parliament.
No,
no one is saying there are technicalities here. My good brother appreciates it. No one is saying that the bill will be passed today before the end of this meeting. That is not possible. But in its shape and form,
it can't even be late.
Subsequent to the approval, you lay a gazetted bill. But you can present the bill after the cabinet approval in its shape and form to Parliament, and that is what the majority leader has stated. So, by the time we reconvene, the gazetted form of the bill would have been completed with, and then when we reconvene and it is late before the plenary, it will be referred to the appropriate committee for consideration, and then the due process is followed through until its passage. And government is committed to ensure that this passage is done by the end of our next meeting. And let us consider that this is a very important subject, considering the importance of transparency.
That's okay. We know how important we've been talking about it for the last 18 years, so that's okay.
So if for the first time, you recall, sometime 2016, close to the end of the Parliament,
that's okay.
It was introduced to Parliament. Why was it not passed?
I want to talk about
sometimes we need to be able to appreciate where priority and commitment has been given to a bill which could have been passed 17 years ago, 16 years ago, 8 years ago, even 3 years ago. It wasn't passed. A government has come in and has taken the necessary steps to pass it.
It was nearly passed before the last Parliament.
You laid the bill close to the expiration of the...
Please, I give you only 2 minutes, unfortunately.
No, you can't time me.
Where lies the commitment?
I give you only 2 minutes.
That is not contentious, unless one is...
Unless I have the floor. Please, I have the floor. One, it is not correct for my brother to say that the bill in its form will be laid today. In which form?
That is what the majority leader has.
In which form? The majority leader can't say that. In which form? You bring an ungazetted bill to Parliament?
But he stated that it has to be
presented. Listen, what is wrong with that?
Please. You may not be a lawyer, so you don't.
No.
There's no way.
I take exception to that.
Please.
I take exception to that.
I'm telling you the technical position.
You don't need to be a lawyer to understand parliamentary procedures.
If you lay an ungazetted bill, you will be compelled to take it back to go and gazette. It's the same thing they did in the office of the special prosecutor bill. They gazetted it. They didn't wait for the 21 days to mature. They brought it. We had to ask them to take it back. It amounted to a waste of resources and time. So the majority leader, experienced that he is, couldn't be saying this.
He didn't say that.
Two, when a bill is submitted to cabinet, the cabinet doesn't approve it before it refers it to a subcommittee. It is a subcommittee that works and recommends that it be approved by cabinet.
And he said the subcommittee has approved it.
No, he says it's come before cabinet, it's been referred to subcommittee, and that they were meeting yesterday. What is outstanding is that we don't know the decision that cabinet took yesterday. So invariably, if they even approve of it, it has to be gazetted. The gazette notification must mature. It was this same president who told us that by the time we rise today, he would have ensured that the bill is passed. My brother shouldn't be making political
it was a mistake. It has to be late. Yes. It will be late. Yeah. He meant late.
The laying cannot even be done today.
I'm saying he meant late.
If they do it,
it won't be done. But
if they do it, there will be.
The majority leader never mentioned laying.
Why?
The NDC.
The majority leader
let's have Esiedun Ketia. Esiedun Ketia is the general secretary of the NDC. He's been talking about government's position and its intent on approving that agreement, that Ghana-US military compact.
Under the agreement, there could be surveillance of our private communications, and the government of Ghana will be powerless to check it. This is betrayal of the fundamental freedoms of Ghanaians.
And among other things, he kept saying, Roxanne Nelson Dapamokpo, your general secretary, says a next NDC government will revoke this agreement if it is passed.
Why not?
What did he mean by that?
A revocation simply means revocation, cancellation, abrogation. We are not interested.
Why?
Because we are not. As a people, for instance, as part of the agreement, you are asking the Republic of Ghana to construct a tarmac to the specifications of the U.S.
What's
government.
wrong with that?
It is wrong. It imposes an economic burden on us.
You're getting some money. You've gotten a lot of aid and assistance from the U.S. government over the years.
In terms of what?
Well, you tell me. We've got a lot of grants.
I am not government. They should tell me how much grants they got.
A lot of loans, etc., from the U.S. and our relationship.
Loan is not aid.
Well, sure.
Loan is from grants.
Definitely.
Yes. So we are making the point that, indeed, even the procedure they are adopting to deal with this matter in Parliament is wrongful and unconstitutional.
You tell me why.
Yes, and I'll tell you. They are proceeding to Parliament under Article 75 of the Constitution. 75, the methodologies ascribed by 75 is very clear. Now, the Defense Minister is saying that the bill is a form of a treaty or an agreement. That being so, it has to be executed. You don't bring me an unsigned agreement for me as a member of Parliament to approve of and ratify.
Wasn't the memo signed?
No, it wasn't signed.
The memo was signed.
No.
The agreement may not have been signed.
The agreement is the memo. They call it the memorandum. It was not executed. So it's like a declaration of intention on a piece of paper. And Cabinet wrote to the Defense Minister that they have approved of it. So he should take steps to ensure that Parliament approves and ratify. Then he also comes to Parliament with a memo asking that we approve and ratify. Ratification simply means that I must adopt it as if it is regular. Now, you have brought me an unsigned memorandum, an unsigned agreement. And let me give you an instance.
It's just a matter of procedure, isn't it?
No, the procedure is constitutionally defined. You cannot sidestep that.
You can't sidestep
the constitutional formula and bring me an agreement that is not signed. So it is a mere declaration of intention. Now, what is interesting is that as a member of the committee, we are unable to even amend a single syllable of the term of the agreement.
Why?
What we are being told is that we should look at it and apprise ourselves of the terms. Because you see, the other contracting party,
which is
the American government, was not part of the deliberations that we had. If they were minded to really amend portions that we had the power to amend, they would have been.
So ideally, they should have been part.
Yes, but that is not the procedure. So this is a procedure that is alien, that is not anchored in law, and it is unacceptable as a member of Parliament. I don't think I want to be part of such a thing.
So if it goes back and is signed and is brought back.
Yes. So my duty, the power that I have as a member of Parliament, is to look at the agreement you have signed and determine whether or not by the terms as contained in the agreement, it is in the greater interest of the generality of the people in this republic, then I approve of. Or if it is not, then I disapprove of.
And that's it for the matter of the procedure. We'll come back to look at the substance.
No, the procedure is constitutionally defined. It's a methodology.
Very well.
It's important to correct this and to dispel.
Correct what?
To dispel the wrong information put out there by my good brother that the procedure followed by the Minister of Defense has some infractions.
Well, I've seen the agreement. It was clearly not signed.
It was done about board.
Please. I cited a constitutional provision.
No provision.
I cited a constitutional
provision.
No, he's misleading.
No.
Let me register.
These are the rules.
Roland.
The two of you, these are the rules.
Then he should make
are you ready to accept that I'm the moderator? No, please.
No.
Honorable, please listen to me.
He leading his submission with the adjective that I was misinforming. Make your submission and say that.
Allow him to make your.
No, contrary to what I'm saying.
Allow him to make his submission. In your submission, you can say that whatever he said was misinformation. I think that's better.
No, I have made my submission. Don't tell me I am misinforming when you cannot show me the constitutional provision that says that you should do the things the way you are doing.
For you to have your
then the standing orders that says that you can come to Parliament with an unsigned agreement in the manner that you have done.
Point made.
Roland, let me at the outset submit that and register my displeasure that I have tons of respect for this platform. I have tons of respect for my good brother and the viewers. So when I honor the invitation to be here to make my submissions, I do not expect that every stakeholder or every other panelist would be in full agreement with my submissions. However, there are opportunities for anyone to express their contrary views, and that is how we can have a decent conversation. I am not pleased by what is happening.
Stating a contrary view. No,
let
stating
me
a contrary
come
view.
in.
No,
I
sir.
can
Please,
do
you
worse
have
than you're doing.
I am misinforming the public.
It is not appropriate. I can do worse than you're doing.
No,
it is not appropriate.
you haven't conducted yourself
so,
well. Please, we have appeared on a lot of
I take
platforms
exception to that.
together,
No, right?
but today you are not.
If you would give me the opportunity to submit.
Oh, you have the
You go
opportunity.
ahead. Yes.
Please give him the opportunity. No interjection.
The procedure that was followed by the Minister of Defense in presenting this matter to Parliament was done above board. There was no infraction of procedures. It was done through the right procedures.
It was not signed.
Now to the point. Now to the point. You see, sometimes I think that we major a lot on the minors and the substance of the matter sometimes may be overlooked. Let us bring into perspective. This defense cooperation agreement is a 20-year-old agreement that was signed in 1998. This is an agreement that was signed when NDC was in government and first entered into with the government of United States of America. Over the years, it has gone through renewals. Now, when a government assumes office and takes decision to uphold best practice democratic tenets of transparency and accountability, and in respect of same, decide to do things differently from what had been done, and to seek to bring it into the open, for Parliament even to be apprised with it, and by extension for the media for the very first time in 20 years, for the very first time in 20 years, for the media even to be apprised with even the content of the agreement. What we do, the media
got wind of it. That's how we know.
If it was presented to Parliament, it was presented to Parliament, and Parliament is done in transparency, and the media is heavily engaged in all our deliberations and all our discussions. So now, when the media has been given the opportunity to even have,
it was not a deliberate engagement of the media.
When we present you to Parliament,
so I don't think that submission by you is correct.
I am premising it on the fact that any information that is presented to Parliament is done in the full glare of the media, and that is transparency. So now, for the very first time in 20 years, this agreement had been executed in secrecy. Even members, and from the posting and the comments coming from members of the NDC and very respectable stalwarts and very respected members of the minority, go to buttress the point that they were even oblivious even to this agreement. They were not even aware that such agreements existed. And that is very dangerous for our democracy. One, we must admit that for our democracy to improve, elements of transparency is important. However,
we need to agree within time.
I respect the concerns, very important concerns raised by civil society organizations, very important opinion leaders, and the section of the public. Certain specific concerns that have been raised in respect of this agreement. And my viewpoint is that, yes, let us listen. Let us listen to all these concerns. They are very important concerns. And it is so because for the very first time in 20 years, they were not aware of such agreements that had been entered into between the government of Ghana and the people of the United States of America. So if for the first time they are aware and they are raising concerns, let's listen to them and possibly see how, if a review is done, will be reflecting the interest and the national interest of Ghana. But the politics of it, I do not subscribe to it.
Which politics?
The politicization and creating the impression that this is the first time this agreement is being entered into. It must be dispelled and it must be dismissed. But again, let us listen to the opinion leaders and civil society organizations, the large section of the public, and the specific concerns raised, having been privy to the terms of the agreement for the very first time in 20 years. And then we would engage them further and eventually ensure that we enter into this, execute this agreement in the best interest of the good people
the
of
contents,
Ghana.
Which sections of the agreement you think are inimical to the growth of our development?
Almost all.
What do you mean?
Almost all. There are 19 articles in the agreement containing over 80 sub-clauses. Almost all are crafted in such a way that they favor American interest. Where there are obligations on us, they are mandatorily couched we are obligated to do A, B, C, D. Sometimes we are even, in some sections of the agreement, we are even asked to furnish facilities at our cost for the use of the Americans.
Well, we're getting some money, we're told.
Why? The $20 million, it is not for the use of the government of Ghana. It is monies that they have voted to spend on development of the area to be designated. Now, moving from the generals to the specific, I speak of law.
Which is
About procedure. I am not making politics. I am talking about how are you invoking the powers of parliament? What procedure are you using?
You've made that point.
As a minister, you come to parliament with a memo,
sir.
And you are saying that
I was asking about the content, sir.
Now, the contents, I've stated that I don't have the copy here. I would have gone through it one after the other for you. All the terms are couched in such a way that they favor American interest. For instance, they can enter Ghana with the use of ID cards, not passports. Visas are waived. Waiver of visa is done. They are also granted diplomatic status.
What's wrong with that?
Why? Under the Vienna Convention, there are a lot of exceptional circumstances under which when a diplomatic official misconducts himself.
And yesterday I was looking at those sections of the Vienna Convention.
The waiver.
They're on the internet.
Yes, the diplomatic status will be waived so that you can face sanctions.
Well, there are circumstances within the world's history,
yes,
especially prior to the Nuremberg trials.
Indeed.
There were some exemptions that were given to U.S. troops and officials and even prosecutors.
Indeed.
Prior to those trials in Nuremberg.
Indeed. So I am saying to say that we are granting them a blanket diplomatic status as if they are diplomatic officials is unacceptable.
Roland.
We are again saying
no.
We are again saying in sections of the agreement, we are saying that they have the power to raise a standing army in this republic when there are circumstances. I want to correct my impression.
Bring in only 200 troops.
No, who told you?
That's not bad.
Who told you?
That's what the U.S. ambassador said.
No.
You haven't listened to the U.S. ambassador.
It is not what he says.
Have you listened to the U.S. ambassador?
Roland, see, saying things.
The U.S. ambassador is the official representative of the government and people of the United States of America.
It is not what he says that is contained in the agreement. What he's saying is exo. It's outside of the agreement. It is not contained in the agreement. They can decide to deploy 10,000 forces based on the agreement. We have granted them that privilege. So I want to correct one impression. It's an erroneous one that the agreement is a 20-year-old agreement. It is not. In 1997, the U.S. government approached the Ghana government that there are situations in Africa,
only a minute and a half,
that demands that they enter into some agreement. So a note verbal was agreed and signed, and after the circumstances, it elapsed. In 2015, the situation in Nigeria, Boko Haram, and South Sudan was such that the U.S. government decided to... Please.
That is not
please.
The case.
You are saying that this is a 20... Why are you... 20-year agreement? Which agreement? A note verbal?
The note verbal.
You understand?
No.
Those agreements that they refer to, there's even a 2001, year 2000. So the agreements that as and when the circumstances demands, U.S. will want to enter into a form of agreement to cover a certain operational activity. When that
so it's just an upgrade on the previous.
It is not an upgrade. They are calling it an enhancement.
Yes, it's an enhancement.
An enhancement.
What do you think it is?
Wait, an enhancement on what? The 2015 agreement has since elapsed. There's no existing agreement.
Yeah, Roland.
The effect of the note verbal has since elapsed.
But in this current one, they make reference to the 2015 one.
Why? So if I am your tenant, if I have been in your house before, we are renewing a tenancy agreement. I can refer to the fact that we have had a tenancy relationship.
And that is conducive
to
the relationship that we already have.
Vary.
And so you just make that reference to make sure that there's cordial cooperation between the two.
Erroneous impression that this is a 20-year agreement.
You've made your point,
Counsel. It's never true.
Clearly, the point has been confirmed that the agreement, the Defense Cooperation Agreement, that was first entered into some 20 years ago, which has periodically been renewed, was done in secrecy secrecy such that even members...
That's not the point of discussion.
That is not the point.
That's not the point of discussion. But to the point that...
The point must be...
Please listen to me. But to the point that you look at the contents of the various articles of that agreement.
And that is the point that I'm making.
In which we're going to have U.S. troops make entry into Ghana. As at the time when they will make that entry, the citizens of Ghana will not know. They can drive on the streets of Ghana without any Ghanaian identification, or permitted by the Constitution of our republic, for which even they will have their own radio spectrum. They will operate their own geographical base.
I am apprised with all these terms.
Good.
What I'm saying,
speak to those terms then.
What I'm saying is that
they are not conducive to the citizens of our republic.
I commend the Minister of Defense for bringing this to the light of the public.
Please. This was leaked to the media. It's not as if government deliberately decided to engage the media on this subject.
This was presented to Parliament.
Oh, I do understand that.
And when you present a matter to Parliament...
On Tuesday.
When you present a matter to Parliament...
on this matter at 9 p.m.
When you present a matter to Parliament... What are you are making sure that you are transacting all agreements on behalf of the people of Ghana in the full tenet of transparency, which was not done in the past 20 years. It was not done. My brother made mention of the fact that there was some renewal of a sort which was somewhere 2015, and
I
it's
never mentioned renewal.
You mentioned 2015.
I said it was a different agreement.
Your point has been made.
Not a renewal. Leaked? Was it
not
at any point even leaked in the last 20 years? Was there any term that was exposed?
I should be wrapping up. My time is up.
Just as JITMO 2, which was done in secrecy. There are a number of things. Now, I wonder how many very important agreements, international agreements, that have been done in secrecy, which must be exposed for the public to even have access to critique, for the public to even have access to contribute to such policy making. And that is the difference. And that is
my name is Abdullah Samed.
And so that is where we must
Ghana became a republic in 1957 and we're living in peace. Ghana doesn't need to go... 1960.
This is not a new agreement.
Ghana doesn't need to go back to colonization again. So this Ghana-US military agreement is a wrong decision, and the MPP government will pay hardly for it if it approves it. We also have this one from Frederick Kwisikoma in Wasei Kropon says the NDC in 8 years couldn't pass the RTI. Ekufado within just 1 year in office will be laying the bill today. It's not going to happen.
There was an 8 years. They shouldn't forget that.
It is unjustifiably wrong and totally wrong to sell our entire sovereignty for just $20 million. We must rise up against this agreement if accepted by cabinets.
I think in respect of the $20 million,
and this from Al-Haji Willie P. in Ifiakuma. I think that's it. My time
the $20 million is neither here nor... I do not think that any sovereign country can decide that for a certain amount of aid that is given for which certain demands might... That point is neither here nor there. And I would want to speak to that. That for a government to make allusion, anytime I come across such arguments, I do not agree that for $20 million invested into an economy, certain expectations, no, that one I do not find it tenable. But the point here is that my appeal is that
so why are we
let us listen to the sections of the public. Let us listen to the citizenry for specific concerns raised in the terms of the agreement.
Because you can't change.
No, because it is the first time. This is an agreement to be signed on behalf of the people of Ghana. These same terms have been...
What's the posture of members of your committee, the Foreign Affairs Committee?
For the past 20 years...
It cannot be amended according to your member.
We can't touch it.
The NDC subscribed to this, and even their own members were not aware. So we have brought it to the light. But I'm saying is that let us listen and accept the criticism. And where possible, amend. We're not here to shout. We're not here to shout. We're here to debate. And now that
that's okay.
So
you
have brought an agreement to Parliament.
Reverend Timfojo is a member of Parliament for Ascent South.
So why did you bring it to us?
NDC had signed in secrecy all this while, which was first signed in NDC regime 20 years ago. In the best interest of transparency and accountability, we have exposed it. So as we have exposed it in transparency, the implications of adhering to the tenets of transparency.
Reverend, can I ask you a question?
Is that you listen to the concerns of the people.
That's
so let us listen.
So you are listening, but you can't.
And then what? To the agreement. So why did you? So you are not.
So why did you sign it? What you decided?
Reverend Tim Ford was a member of parliament for Assin South, and we've also had in the studio, ready to go to court, Roxanne Nelson Dapama, who is a member of parliament for South Dine. We're taking a break.